Welcome to another Chapter podcast with your hosts, Claire and Rebecca.
Do you love books? Well, you've come to the right place. Join us as we discuss all things books. Welcome to Chapter 18 of Season 1, which is our season finale. So on this week's episode, we spoke to a young woman called Chloë Enright. And Chloë is the founder of a company called Compassionate Co., which launched a few months ago. And Compassionate Co. is a company which focuses on building self-compassion in people through journaling. And so we have Chloë on talking about her book, which is called Your Self-Scribbler, how it came about and why she created this product.
I just have to say that I really enjoy talking to Chloë. For someone so young to have shown so much resilience after everything that she has experienced, I just think that it's phenomenal to be able to take what has happened to her and turn it on its head to provide such a useful and, I think, vital tool for everybody.
Absolutely. And I suppose for transparency's sake, Chloë is my cousin, so I've known Chloë forever. But she is on with us because she has created an amazing product that I have. It is a practical, evidence-based product to help people develop kind of mindfulness, self-kindness, and connectedness in themselves. To become more self-compassionate. And even speaking to her tonight, like, I learned things that I didn't know about her company, and hearing again about what she has been through, and I suppose how a very frightening experience and how she has come out the other side of it and made this wonderful product, not just for herself, but with the aim of helping other people. And then obviously, just I suppose from our bookish point of view, like the process of putting something like that together was fascinating as well. So it was such an interesting chat with her.
It was. And I just like to say to everybody as well, like, I approached you about getting her onto this with, like, you didn't come to me saying, let's get my cousin on. I was like, I really think this would be an important person to talk to. Because when you do listen to the episode, you'll just hear that, like, Chloë is extremely passionate about what she has done, and rightly so. And I think that there is a huge, huge gap in the Irish market for teenagers, adults, kids even, just to learn about how to be kinder to themselves, because we are our own worst critics. I know I am my own worst critic always, and I wouldn't speak to people the way that I do speak to myself at times. So to be able to put something together that will that will actively train your mind to do the opposite and to become kinder to yourself, I think is just phenomenal. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Because there is something like we would always say, like, to be kind, and I suppose in a way, like, sometimes that phrase has become a bit meaningless because it is bandied about so much, but we often forget about being kind to ourselves, or else we say it but we don't actually know how to do that because we're so conditioned to be the opposite. So to have this practical journal that is designed to help you to shift your mindset to that is fabulous, and we wish her all the best with Compassionate Co. Right, so today we have a wonderful guest, Chloë Enright, and we're just going to speak briefly about who Chloë is, and then Chloë can tell us a bit more about herself. So Chloë is the founder and owner of Compassionate Co. And Compassionate Co was set up by Chloë, who is a public health practitioner and breathwork facilitator who has extensive experience in health research, health communications, and surveillance. A very impressive bio. So, Chloë, for anyone that doesn't know you, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so thanks for that intro, Vex. That was lovely. So yeah, like you said, I'm a public health practitioner. So for people who don't know what that is, people they meet me and they say, "Are you a public health nurse?" And I say, "No, public health as a discipline is quite broad. It's health promotion, health protection, and epidemiology." So I work in health protection and I work in health research, and we develop guidelines. And I have also worked in epidemiology before. Have a huge interest in grow and health promotion, and that is where the, I suppose, draw for Compassionate Co came from. Because I wasn't working in health promotion, I wanted to veer into it, and I wanted to keep that side of my degree and my expertise going as well. So that led to the development of Compassionate Co, which you mentioned, Bex. I set up, it's my own business, mental health promotion business, and it launched just 2 months ago.
Excellent, excellent. So it's very new, but it
Right.
seems like
Yeah.
it's going really well.
Very new. It is.
Are you loving
There's
it?
huge interest in it. And yeah, I really am. I'm really getting, there's huge satisfaction from it, knowing that, people are getting something from the content that I'm putting up, and a huge element of fulfillment from it as well. Knowing that people are learning from it and that they're interested in self-compassion as a concept. And yeah, that people are buying the journals that I've developed. Yeah, so I'm thrilled. It's going really, really well so far, thank God.
Fab. So do you want to tell us a bit more about the journal before we get into our kind of more traditional questions?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I developed a journal. It's called Your Self Scribbler. So Your Self Scribbler is a guided journaling experience towards cultivating self-compassion. So self-compassion as a concept, it's the process of turning kindness inward. And what I mean by that is that typically we tend to self-judge and self-criticize over being self-kind to ourselves. When we are, dealing with other people, we tend to be nicer to them, versus, we typically, people would speak to themselves quite harshly and we would self-criticize a lot. So Compassionate Co delves into learning self-compassion, and that's what the journal does. It brings you through the process of learning self-compassion by looking at the 3 pillars for self-compassion, which are mindfulness, self-kindness, and connectedness. So in order to be self-compassionate, we need to have a mindful awareness of what we're feeling, and that's the first pillar, mindfulness. So it asks you to place words on how you're feeling and where you're feeling them in your body. The second thing to self-compassion is self-kindness. So rather than speaking to yourself and criticizing all of the time, it's speaking to yourself a little bit kinder and with less judgment, and like you would a friend, basically. And then connectedness is the third pillar for self-compassion, and that's really important because for well-being, we need to have an enhanced sense of connection with other people. And it's really fundamental for overall well-being. So those 3 pillars come together, and that's what the journal is based on, and they come together to form the concept of self-compassion. And that is what the journal does. It helps you to cultivate that in a guided format.
This whole
That's
area
amazing.
is like so fascinating.
Thanks very much.
It's really cool. Do you find that people meet an awful lot
Yeah,
of resistance
yeah,
with self-compassion? Because as a concept, I feel like I will always speak harsher to myself than I would anybody else. And for somebody, I would be quite mental health aware and proactive and everything. But despite like having done meditation since I was about 17 years old on, I still find it very hard to be nice to myself. Like I'm my own worst enemy. Rebecca will tell you that. Like we speak very openly about how we're feeling
Yeah.
all the time. And yeah, do
Yeah.
people kind of find it very difficult
Yeah,
to get into
yeah.
self-compassion, or do you find that they're open to it?
I think, I think that because, like you said there, I think that everyone, we're our own worst self-critics. And I think that when I started speaking about it initially, the amount of people that were messaging me saying, oh my God, I completely agree with what you're saying. I was so hard on myself all of the time. And I think that I think there's a huge openness to people learning it, because I don't think anyone
Yeah.
likes being their own worst self-critic, so to be honest with you, Claire, it's not, there's actually research been done on this, in that we find it easier to automate to negative and to self-critiquing because of our
Yeah.
survival mode, that threat and that survival instinct. So it's not our fault, but we can change it. And it's just like that. It's just to bring the mindfulness to when you are having that negative thought, to say, oh, let's stop this now, and to treat yourself with kindness like you would somebody else. And
it's something that absolutely can be learned. Does it take time? 110%, but it is so worth it. 110. Like, it's the best thing that I ever spent time doing. Really and truly it is.
And the journal itself, Chloe, like, I presume that came about because were you looking for a product like this yourself and there was nothing out there that fit the bill?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, so I suppose I had been in therapy and I had worked on, we didn't really use the word self-compassion, to be honest. It was more, I worked firstly on mindfulness and bringing that conscious awareness to how I was feeling. Then I worked, and this was over a period of 12 months. Then I worked on self-kindness, and that was breaking down, generalized judgments that I'd made about myself that were very unhelpful to me. And just to change that negative voice all of the time, to shift that a bit and to speak a bit more positively to myself, worked really hard on that. And then I worked really hard on enhancing that sense of connection and enhancing that sense of common humanity with other people, and that it's okay that I was feeling like this. A lot of other people do as well. And I became really, I had received various diagnoses, PTSD and depression. And really, until I started working on the mindfulness, self-kindness and connectedness, until I had done that, I really saw a huge improvement in my overall mental well-being. And that's why I became fascinated in the concept. And I went looking for a journal, and, I didn't know what the term was until I started researching it. And I subsequently now know that it was self-compassion when I did my research. And I started looking for a journal for self-compassion, and there was none there. And I just said, okay, like, look, there's probably a bit of an opening here, because I think that a lot of people will relate to what I have learned. And I drafted it. I sent it to one therapist, firstly my therapist, and she said, like, you're really onto something here, like, go for it. And it was over about a period of 6 months, and I got another 2 counsellors involved, and then I had it reviewed from an editorial perspective. And it just took off from there. But yeah, it stemmed really from a gap in the market, and I suppose it working for me, then me having the evidence to back it up, having the research skills, and knowing, okay, there's actually been really high quality research done on self-compassion as a concept, and this works for people, and then used it to feed into the
That's
development
really
of the journal.
interesting, because do you know how you're saying that there's 3 pillars to self-compassion, where it, like, if you go into a shop, I know that you'd find a gratitude journal somewhere, or you'd find like mindfulness stuff, but there's never anything that combines the lot. So this is essentially what we need to get ourselves in check, which is fab.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I think that everybody needs it, and I know that I had mentioned that I had, the PTSD, and it helped me to deal with the residual symptoms of that. But, I then, when I learned it, I used it for so many other areas of my life, like body image. And, I think, look, in today's society, we're all so self-critical, and I think that because of everything that we're surrounded by, it's hard not to be, and it's hard, not to be comparing and that kind of thing. And even on that, I used it for that a lot. And, even in work, if I made a mistake before, I'd been like, Jesus, Chloe, you shouldn't be doing this. And just really being hard on myself all of the time. And whereas now I say, it's great, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Like, absolutely, you're experiencing a difficult emotion now, but that's absolutely fine. So it did help me with the residual symptoms, but then it veered into every other area of my life, I suppose. And that's really, I think, where other people will resonate as well.
And what I think is great, especially, is like you were saying yourself, that like you went looking into it, and it took you a while to realize that what you were actually looking for was self-compassion, where, and a lot of people are going to be in the same boat, where they're like, oh, look, there is something there. I do want to sort, myself out a bit. I am feeling such a way. But it's when, like, someone like you is sharing their story, sharing, your experiences, that other people are going to go, oh, but that's, like you said, that's how I feel. And I didn't realize either that there is a name for this, or a name for what I should be working on. So it's people like yourself getting your product out there, getting your story out there, that are going to help a lot of other people with an area that they didn't probably even know was an area they needed to be working on,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's just to hear it, just to say, oh yeah, that actually is something that I might need to work on, or, you know what I mean? Like, I've had people messaging me saying, oh, like, that really makes sense what you're saying there, and I didn't even realize that was something that I needed to hear. But sometimes it's just hearing it from somebody, and then the penny drops a little bit. So yeah, it's a really interesting concept, and everybody needs it 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
exciting.
I'm just thinking, like, we're due our second baby in October, and like something like this would be a wonderful, like, even maternity present, like a
Yeah,
new baby present and stuff, because everybody is
absolutely.
struggling. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Like that's
yeah,
that's something new. That's a hard time. You know what I mean? It's a lot of adjustment. Like there's a lot going on. You're probably, like I don't have any kids, but trying to adjust to the situation, and
yeah,
then am I being a good mother? Like, all these are natural thoughts that you're going to have, and then just to, like, if that self-critiquing voice is coming in,
yeah,
just to have that moment to say, okay, I'm doing well here. Like I'm doing the best that I can do. And this is completely normal that everybody experiences these things. Like
yeah,
sometimes we just need that as adults, we need that self-soothing as well, and yeah, I just think it's just the awareness. Like to have the awareness is
mm.
Yeah.
huge.
So this is your area of expertise, and like, have you read any books in particular that you think people should pick up if they're interested in the area of self-compassion?
Yeah. So there was actually when I learned about it, was a lot of papers and stuff that I was reading around it, but I spotted that the majority of the papers that were being written on the concept of self-compassion were by a lady called Christian Neff. So I looked her up and I said, look, surely she has a book written on this, and she actually does, and it's just called Self-Compassion: A Practical Guide to Self-Compassion. So I read that, and it really helped me to come to grips with the concept. And she uses real life examples, and it really breaks down the 3 pillars: mindfulness over identification, self-judgment over, or self-kindness over self-judgment, and then connectedness over isolation. So that's a really, really good book if anyone will be interested in reading it. And it's not too complex. She really breaks it down. So
Brilliant.
that one, 100%, I would recommend that. Yeah,
Okay.
she's excellent. Yeah, and she's really she's the one that has done the majority of the research really on the topic. So she'd be a really good one to read up on. Yeah. All right.
And would you be a reader in general, Chloe? Or, is it something that's kind of part of your life, or maybe was?
Yeah, when I was younger, back to be honest, that it was really like I loved it. Every night, 8 o'clock in bed, like reading. I think I actually borrowed some of your books. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you
So
had
the
you had
Harry
the Harry
Potter
Potters.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I was for a long time. Then I kind of fell out of it. Like when I was throughout my latter teenage years, I did. But only recently I've kind of gotten back into it again. Now that self-compassion book was one of the first ones that I read again, and I was hooked. And but it's a lot of like mindfulness books and that. Like I suppose, look, it's just the topic that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So, that's where a lot of my reading would come in. Yeah. But yeah, definitely lost interest in it for a long time, but I came back in again.
What are your favorite books around the area of self-compassion, or sorry, mindfulness and stuff? What ones would you pick up?
Dermot Whelan has an excellent one. It's called Mindful. That's really, have you read that? It's
Yeah.
really, really good. Yeah, I love that one. So I read that recently, and then Christian F. Self-Compassion, and there's another one actually called Glow that I've gotten recently. I'm not sure what the name of the author is. I can get it free, but it's over there now. That's my next one that I'm gonna tuck into. But yeah, Dermot Whelan was one that I read before. Christian F, and I really, really like that.
Yeah. It's a very accessible book. He really, really breaks it down in a very accessible and easy to incorporate
Format.
in your life way. Yeah, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even the meditations and stuff that are in it, like, are brilliant. Really, really good if you wanted to veer into touch on the area of mindfulness. Like, it's a really, really good one. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, excellent. So we've covered our reading questions at least.
I remember a while back I used to try and read one kind of self-help book a month. Do you know how we were kind of looking at one non-fiction book a month, Rebecca? Like, that's something that I was doing. And then I found that I kind of became, it was nearly oversaturation with the amount of repeated kind of statistics and stuff like that. Like, if you're interested in it, there's only so much research that's been done about these things. So there's only kind of so much that you can read. But like, have you read the likes of Brené Brown and stuff? Or
No, I actually haven't. No. What one is that? What's that about?
She's got a couple of
Is
books.
it just self-help?
Kind of, yeah, and just about like trusting yourself. And one of her books is called Daring Greatly. Now, I read it years ago, but it was just about taking the leap of faith and doing what you would like to do or believe in doing. all those kind of things. I kind of tried to
Okay.
read some of hers, and Mel Robbins, so I read a couple of hers as well. She's kind of good. She's very blunt about like just kind of getting off your backside and
Okay.
doing stuff. Do you know, yeah, I've read loads of them. I actually wouldn't be able to to list them all out or anything. But
To
yeah,
list
I
all of
was
them,
just
I was going to say,
wondering where
send some
that.
of them my way. I'll only be delighted.
Um, So, what was the process like of writing your self scribbler? We'll say from a first time writer, author point of view, someone who's never done something like this. What was the process like?
Um, I think that getting the content together, like obviously my analytical skills and my writing skills will be my forte from work, being the researcher and writing papers and all that. So that side of things was fine, and constructing the interior was perfect. But obviously then like the exterior of it, I needed a lot of input from designers and that kind of thing for that. And then as well, just content expertise. I knew that obviously when I'd work on self-compassion, it'd work for me, but it was really important for me to get like therapists involved as well, just to review it from a clinical perspective. Um, so the process was pretty streamlined, to be honest. Like it was okay. I got it together. Like I think I had my head so in the zone with it. I just had my head down. I wanted to get it done. I was just a hooked line and sinker on it, and I wanted to get it over the line. Um, so yeah, the writing and analytical skills were fine. The getting people were really, really helpful, which was fantastic. It was really, really good to have the therapist involved. And then just like getting the printing and that was kind of the hardest bit, I think, because I was literally just emailing people saying, can I get a quote on, like, I think I want this and I think I want this. Like learning about the materials that were involved, I think, was probably the most difficult part of the process for me, because I wasn't familiar with it at all. Um, but like all in all, it came together in about 6 months, so it was pretty
Oh,
quick.
wow. That is,
Unreal.
yeah.
Overall, yeah, yeah. But a lot of early mornings, like a lot of I worked hard to get it over the line, but the process was pretty streamlined, to be honest. It was okay. Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, you were doing this around your full time
Yeah,
job as well.
yeah.
So,
And my master's.
How was that?
Like
oh,
when I said it to
Oh,
my mom and dad, they were like, "Are you nuts?" Like they were going doing this, but no, I just knew, I had a feeling in my gut. I was like, "There's a market for this. Like, there's nothing like this out there. Like, I really think that people will love this and they need it." And I believed in it, and it really, it's paid off. Like there's huge interest in it, So but yeah, I think with working full time in the masters and that, it was just having good time management. And look, like I knew that I really enjoyed it and I wanted to get it over the line, so it made it a little bit easier to push it on. Um, but I enjoyed the process overall. It was relatively stress free, so it was, yeah. So,
amazing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
must be such a
Um,
disciplined person to be able to do all of that.
no, I am. To be fair, I am. But I'm a real early morning person. Like I function really good in the morning. Like I get up at 5. And
Mm.
that only kind of started when I was trying to manage the masters and this. Because by the time like I was finished my full time job the evening, like I was just no good. I wasn't able to do much because I was
Yeah.
so tired. So yeah, no, I'd be quite determined if I put my mind to something. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's worth it.
It pays
So
off.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What kind of advice would you have for somebody then that would also like to do something either similar to this or write something, or like how would you advise them to kind of get their crap together and get it done essentially?
Yeah, I think just seek um assistance, I suppose, in the areas that are not your forte. Like I feel like that's what I did really. Even with the starting up your own business, that would have been something that
Yeah.
that side of things would have been a huge grey area for me. Like the analytical skills and that would have been fine, and the putting it together, but the business side of things really wouldn't have been something that I would have been strong in. So yeah, I did the Start Your Own Business course with Kerry Enterprise Board, and yeah, so I did that, and then to just talk to people that you know and ask for advice in the areas that you wouldn't be 100% strong in. And yeah, while I did have a lot of relevant skills, I didn't have them all. And I definitely needed help in some areas, you know. So even like, you know, at the moment I'm doing a marketing course because I wouldn't have any air or any idea of marketing myself really. So I'm just try to upskill in the area. But if you believe in it, go for it. Like, go for it. And
And how are you finding running your own business now and stuff? Does it feel natural to you, or do you still have your like pinch me moments?
I do have the pinch me moments a bit, like, and I'm not gonna lie, even the like sometimes I feel like, oh my God, like you'd get a bit kind of overwhelmed a little bit with it, you know, because it's just so new to me. But like all in all, the level of fulfillment that I'm getting from it, like I have never gotten it from anything else that I've done. You know, it's just that just knowing that that, you know, people are getting something from the journal, and like the message that I get saying that it's helping them, and that they were new to journaling, and the journal they're finding is very different to what they've used before because it's guided, and just I'm getting a huge element of fulfillment out of it, big time. So I'm really enjoying it.
With the journal itself, so I don't have a copy of it yet. I must order one from you. But do you take people through these 3 pillars and work on each of them individually and then kind of combine things all together, or is it kind of how does it work?
So one journal entry has 4 different sections. So in the beginning of the journal, basically what I have done is I've included lots of examples that people could draw from and that they can use. Even in the mindfulness section, I've included a wheel of emotion, because sometimes I think it can be difficult if you're not familiar with mindfulness to put words exactly on how you're feeling. And then I ask people to just increase their mindfulness by, once they've identified the emotion, identify where you're feeling it in your body. If you're holding any stress, are you holding it in your chest? You've knots in your tummy. So that's increasing mindfulness. Then the self-kindness, I ask people to break down broad judgments they've made about themselves, which are unhelpful. And how I do that is I ask you to pick a situation from yesterday where you displayed a positive quality about yourself, and so use that example and then align it with a positive quality. And there's also some gratitude practice in that self-kindness section. And then with the common humanity and connectedness, if you're dealing with any difficult emotion, I ask you to write down what the difficult emotion is and where you're feeling it in your body. And also, what would you say to a friend in the same situation who's experiencing the same level of difficulty? So it's, you know, using that comparison versus you're writing down what you're feeling yourself and then what you're feeling about yourself, and versus how you're talking to a friend. And then I ask you to reread the section, but as if you're speaking to yourself. So it's activating that soothing system rather than that self-critiquing. So it's guided, and like I said, there's plenty of examples at the beginning, and one journal entry is there. So there's 4 sections: mindfulness, self-kindness, and connectedness. And I've actually included just an extra page for additional thoughts, because I find myself that when I had bought journals previously before, there was never enough space, and I always have additional thoughts I want to get down on paper. So I wanted to include that as well. And even when I am journaling myself now, I use the 4th page all of the time. So that's one journal entry. There's 4 different sections to it.
That's fab.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the more you're reframing those kind of negative thoughts, or speaking to somebody, your friends, like, the more likely you are to bring that into your own day-to-day life, I suppose.
And you know, as the more you're doing it, you're increasing your mindfulness, you're increasing how you this level of self-kindness that you give yourself, and increasing that sense of connection to other people as well. And it does become a habit over time, you know. And the journal is one thing, you know, and it's one tool. And within Compassionate Co, then I am, like you said, Rex, I'm a breathwork facilitator, so I'm starting classes actually, and breathwork is another excellent tool to have to, you know, regulate your emotions, and to, if you are feeling stressed, to just engage in a breathwork technique to bring that stress level down. So it's another really effective tool, and I'm going to be starting the classes at the end of, or within August, actually, August and September.
That's amazing. And the breathwork, like, obviously it is what it is, you know, as in it does what it says in the tin, obviously. But like, I've seen a few of your videos, your reels on the page, but I'd love to know a bit more about that.
So the breathwork, there's different techniques, and I think that, you know, when people hear breathwork, they think meditation, but meditation is just one type. So there is there's breathwork techniques for deep relaxation, and they're the likes of your meditative practices, your long slow deep. That's one breathwork technique where you're breathing in for 6 breaths and you're breathing out for 8. You're really activating that parasympathetic nervous system and calming down the sympathetic nervous system. Then there's also breathwork techniques where you actually induce your body into a little bit of stress, but because it's controlled long term, it has positive impacts on your overall stress levels. So you're effectively, you're getting your body stressed, but then you're calming it down. So you're releasing a bit of stress and you're not holding it and not dealing with it. So there is some techniques like that, and those would be some of the ones that we would use for increasing motivation. So you'd be hyping up, like before I go for a run, sometimes I do a thing called the creative breath, and you get your system, it's almost like a shot of caffeine to your system. You're getting your body a little bit stressed, getting your body a little bit pumped up, and then you could engage in a long, slow, deep afterwards to relax the system again. So it's basically using the breath to control your stress response in your body. So it's absolutely like excellent, really and truly it is. And the classes that I'm going to be running, they're going to be for deep relaxation. There's going to be some techniques for stress reduction and also increasing motivation. So they're the 3 drop-in classes that I'm going to be running, and then I'm actually going to be running a 4-week course, just because the classes are excellent. The drop-in classes are brilliant, but the course people will get a huge amount from, in that you will really get that interoceptive experience for increasing your sense of mindfulness within your body through breath work, and you really learn how to use it to regulate your emotions by doing the 4-week course.
Brilliant.
So breathwork, it's brilliant. It really, really is. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the classes now. Yeah, looking forward to starting them.
I'm like, where are you finding the time? You're so much on.
Yeah. For everything. I know. But you know what? I love everything. I love everything that I do. And you know what? I do prioritize downtime as well, like every single day. I have to, because and like my sleep is really important. Like I sleep a lot. Like I'd be in bed every night at like I'd be 10, half 10, you know what I mean? So rest, recovery, and just making sure that I have that downtime.
And
as
you
well.
are in fairness,
but knowing that I'm helping people, like it makes
no. I was just
worthwhile.
saying, like,
Sorry,
you'll always make time for something that's important to you and something that you love doing. So
absolutely, yeah, and things that you love, it makes it so much easier. It's not a, it's passion, love, so it does definitely makes it a lot easier to do all of these things. Yeah.
And what do you do for fun? Can I ask that question? So if this is your passion project and it's turning into like nearly a full-time job along with the breath work and the journaling and stuff, and you have your full-time job, what do you do for you? Just for you?
Like journaling is my big one. I love journaling in the morning. And I will do breath work as well, but look, they're just kind of more self-care to take care of myself. Just for me, like I love the gym. I really do. But then the likes of things like I love going to the cinema, like I love going out with the girls the weekend, going for coffees, like they're my things. And I would do them every single weekend, on a Saturday morning, and even on a Friday morning. Every Friday morning, myself and Philip will get up and we go for a coffee at 7:30. Like that's just one of our things. Like, so it's really important to factor that into, when you are really, really busy. And I do prioritize that, because you'd burn out. You would, like, if it's all go, so. And even in the evening time, just throw myself down on the couch and watch television. I'd always do that for an hour in the evening time, just because
switch off.
I definitely that downtime is completely switch off. Yeah, it's really, really important for me as well. Yeah. So, but I enjoy it. I really do. Like I wouldn't be doing all these things, only that I really, really do enjoy them, and I enjoy being on the go. Yeah. So
and while you can, you might as well, And like, we know it's early days yet. Like you said, that the company is only kind of essentially launched 2 months. But where has releasing your self-scribbler led you to already? So kind of what we had kind of in the questions was like, has anything unexpected come from it? What other direction has the work gone in? Any opportunities that have arisen?
Yeah, so like, I mean, firstly, obviously the following and everything, I can't believe it. And then like it's just opened the door to I wasn't expecting it, but a lot of connections, like a lot of people have, since I've kind of put myself out there a bit, a lot of people have connected with me. And, you know, like I've even met one girl that she's really into mental health promotion as well. And we met for a coffee. And I met another lady, she's a therapist and she does compassion focused therapy. And she messaged me and asked me to meet for a coffee as well. So the connections that I've made, I wasn't expecting it. You know, and the people that I've met already from it in such a short space of time. I suppose I also wasn't expecting just like the amount and the outpouring of messages that I've gotten from people telling me their stories. You know, and it just goes to show like one of the overall objectives of Compassionate Co is to promote open discussion on mental health. And when I had, you know, I've opened my door slightly and the amount of people that have opened theirs as well. So that has kind of floored me. And also then just the opportunities that have come from me. You know, I mean, like being on your podcast, I was on another podcast with the head of the School of Education in UL, and my friend Neo, she's doing her PhD with Patricia, the head of the school. I was on with them, which was great, and I'm doing another one next week. So and
Oh, wow.
I have a fourth one in the pipeline. So there's, you know, I can't believe that the amount of, you know, even podcast opportunities that I've been given. Like the interest in the breath work. To be honest, it's all flooring me. Like, and just even the interest in the journal itself. I knew that it would have a huge draw, but I didn't quite expect them to sell out within 5 weeks. Like the green sold out in 5 weeks. You know, so it was it's
That's
brilliant. It
unreal.
really, really is. Yeah. So, and even from, you know, myself, just on a more personal level, like I think that I found it very healing, like knowing that, you know, my journey is, you know, and what I've put into it, that and even the journal that people are taking something from it. So for, you know, the sense of fulfillment that I'm getting is huge from it as well, like I mentioned. So a lot of unexpected things, I think, from it. So yeah, I'm just enjoying every single minute of it. I really, really am.
It's amazing and so well deserved.
Thanks, Vix.
So I'm following you on Instagram, and for anyone that wants to follow you on Instagram, what's your handle, just so that they can?
Compassionate Co is the handle. Yeah.
Okay. If
Yeah.
you are doing, so you're doing a lot of work on Instagram, like we can see the work that's going into it, and like you have tips going up every week on how to be,
Yeah.
you know, how to practice breath work and be mindful and everything like that. But what, like, where else are you promoted? Is it solely online, or are you like approaching bookshops and stuff like that? How hard is it to promote something like this?
Well, at the moment, it's solely online, really clear, to be honest. Like Instagram, Facebook. I have recently set up a TikTok and LinkedIn as well. So there are the 4 channels going. The journals are being sold primarily online. I haven't, they're not in any bookshops yet, but it's, you know, like and I think that marketing course that I'm doing is kind of helping me to understand a little bit, like looking at the analytics and looking at the trends. But I think that, you know, I found, and look, I know that I'm only up and running 2 months, but really when I'm being myself, like that's when people are messaging and they're resonating with, and they're you know, even looking at the analytics, they're the posts that are doing the best when they're like about myself and my own journey and that. So you know, I know this, Catherine Casey, the marketing club, I know Catherine, and she has said to me, you know, I told her that I was setting up Compassionate Co before it launched, and she said to me, look, you're your own USP. Like she said, you really need to put yourself out there, and when you do that, that's what people resonate with, and it's 100% true. But yeah, I think that it has definitely been a huge learning curve for me, like trying to promote it and to keep up with the trends and doing the reels, and like the amount of time that goes into the content creation. It's like, whoa, it's something. But yeah,
Like
it's
we're lucky
I think that's been one of the biggest adjustments for me.
it for our podcast, and it's just for Instagram. There's
Yeah.
2 of us, and even we, like, and we've only been talking about things in the last few days. Like a lot of work goes into it, even with 2 people. Like, so running and like
So much,
especially like we'll say, like I was saying to Claire, like that like reels and TikTok are essentially the same thing, but they actually work a bit differently in the
There.
sense like the way the
Yeah.
trends, what's trending on TikTok now might not be trending on Instagram for a few weeks,
Yeah.
or it's kind of a different,
Yeah.
it's a different audience as well. Like, so it's constantly
Oh, it
relearning
is completely. Yeah.
what to do and how to do it,
Yeah.
and on top of everything
Yeah.
else, like.
Yeah, and the trending songs that week, and like it's just trying to keep on top of everything. Even it's just it's funny, but it's definitely a new realm for me as well. Like I wouldn't have done any of this really before. I would have worked a little bit in health communications, but again, like audience that I would have been putting information out to there would have been
Yeah.
healthcare workers. Do you know what I mean? Like different again. So yeah, it's definitely. But I feel like I'm constantly learning with it. Like I think it's just a process with it, isn't it? Trying to market yourself
Yeah.
and get your content out there.
And you've been very vulnerable, in
But
fairness,
That's it.
on yours. Like,
And
yeah.
can I ask about your demographic?
yeah. So I think the demographic, Claire, that it's primarily women. It's about 75% women and then 25% men. Now, in the beginning, I was actually quite shocked at the amount of men that were following the page. I didn't expect that much. But and then between the ages of 18 to 58, I
Okay.
think is the age that Facebook or that Meta gave me. Yeah. So that was the demographic that was coming up in the analytics.
Isn't it great that 18-year-olds are
Yeah.
actually taking all of this on board?
Yeah.
Like if we had this kind of a tool at 18, think
Oh
about
my God.
how different our 20s would have been.
Yeah.
Never mind our 30s.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's insane. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that even if look, I think this is something that we advocate for in public health, like that upstream approach, that early intervention. And I think, Brezzy there is doing a lot of work in a Lust for Life, trying to get mindful based intervention basically into primary schools, and giving children those skills to identify their feelings, what they're feeling, where they're feeling it, and that. So yeah, if we had this, we would it's so needed. It really, really is. But look, at least it's up and coming, and there's definitely progress being made in the area, which is fantastic. It's definitely warranted. Yeah, I need it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to see people just so open to these kinds of concepts, and it's so important. But great, definitely a step in the right direction that people are nowadays so open to this kind of thing. It's lovely to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's so needed, 100%. Like we all need the tools. Everybody has mental health. Everybody has difficulties throughout their lifetime. You know what I mean? Everybody has difficult emotions that they deal with day to day. So we all need these tools and need to learn them 100%.
Like I would do an awful lot of work around mindfulness and stuff with students in school at times. But look at all that kind of stuff. Like you could totally approach an educational company for something down the line. Rebecca, would
definitely,
you
because like
agree?
well-being in general is such a hot topic in schools, but I suppose schools are becoming a lot more
buzz. It's
like
a buzzword.
I hate it as a buzzword, but schools are becoming a lot more aware of the fact that, like we would always say, we try to approach teaching holistically and whatever, but something like this is very evidence-based, plus it's very practical. You could very easily see like an SPHE class or an RSE class doing these kinds of activities. Do you know what I mean? Like that is, teachers especially are always looking for genuinely, things that are going to actually help people, like not just doing something for the sake of it inside in a class,
There are so many avenues you could end up going down with this, really, aren't there?
Yeah, 100%.
So I suppose on to something maybe a little more lighthearted or a little more random, maybe. So if your life was a story, Chloe, what would it be called?
I was thinking about this, but I don't know. Like I think that I was saying that probably like resilience, like that. I think just that would be one word, like because I throughout everything, I think even that was one thing that I really learned about myself, and that I'm a really, really resilient person, and so I think that will be my answer to that one. Resilience. Yeah.
It's a good one. And who would play you in the movie of your life?
I was saying this to Philip before I came on. I was like, what would be the answer to that now? And he he was like, give me a few minutes. And I was like, right. I went back in and he was like, I think Sandra Bullock. And I was like, why Sandra Bullock? And he was like, because she's funny, but she's tough at the same time. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll take that and I'll use that as an answer when we go on to the podcast. He was like, don't say that. I was like, I'm totally just going to say that when I go on the podcast now. So anyway, that's my answer. Yeah, Sandra Bullock. She's funny, but she's tough.
That's lovely.
That's good.
That's a good reason. Initially, I thought you said she's funny, but she's tall, and I was like, well, that's a fair enough.
You're not really that tall, yeah. Yeah, I hear me being 5'5". So yeah, Sandra Bullock is my
That's
answer.
what I was
for
trying
that
to
one.
think. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're not that
yeah.
small, but I wouldn't say
No.
tall either. Like,
You're tall either. Yeah. So yeah, that's Philip's
thanks, Philip.
interpretation of me. Yeah. So
That's
thanks
good.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. He could have
That's
said
a
a lot
really
worse.
nice thing to be
Yeah.
told about yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. She was a
We'll
good
need to
example.
ask
Yeah, it's like I'll
our
take
other
that.
halves that question now, Claire.
Yeah.
I can imagine Worth's answer now.
oh
Yeah.
let's do
Yeah.
that.
So funny.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
like, your whole, you mentioned your journey an awful lot in the episode, but we haven't discussed anything about it really. Would you be happy to give a kind of a general gist of stuff for people, or
Sure.
would you prefer to just
Yeah.
for us to direct them to your Instagram page, or
No, I can give an overview if you want. Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
I just think for
so
anyone that's not following you, they mightn't know
yeah, they
anything, you know.
mightn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So no, I suppose the journey into like obviously my background in health promotion, I've always had an interest in it, but the journey into mental health promotion, really, the interest in mental health stemmed from experience. So I, as when I was growing up, I never really had any experiences with mental ill health per se, and I, as a person would have been just quite laid back and bubbly and outgoing and that. And I was in a very serious car accident almost 7 years ago now at this point. And following that, my mental health like switched quite literally overnight. So being, in the accident, obviously there was a lot of psychological trauma, and there was a lot of psychological trauma in the weeks that followed because of just the severe physical injury that I had. I had a perforated ileum that has a 30% survival rate, broke a lot of bones, broke my back, lungs collapsing, just a lot of complications. And I, when I did eventually overcome the physical side of things, I really saw a decline in my mental well-being, and I subsequently was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. And I struggled with that for quite a long time. And I was doing a lot of therapy and doing a lot of counseling, but what I was doing was I was just more I suppose with the PTSD, you're in that fight or flight a lot of the time, and your stress response would be really, really up there. And I was just kind of pouring out the heightened emotion that I had, and I was just relieving that a little bit rather than getting the tools to cope with. So I started CBT after about 4 years, and it was just life-changing for me. And that's really where I started to delve into the concepts of mindfulness, self-kindness and connectedness. And that's where I learned really about the concept of self-compassion. And it really helped me to, when I learned self-compassion, it helped me to deal with the residual symptoms of the PTSD day to day. So that's just kind of a brief overview of the backstory, but it really did, that's where the interest in mental health came from. It came from experiencing mental ill health myself. So that was some of the, that was the backstory to it, really. Yeah.
To take such a difficult and life-altering situation and to now have turned it into something that can help other people as well is a huge achievement, which is amazing. So well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, and look, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's just, like I said, I would have regarded myself as someone who wouldn't really have had much experience with it. Like, I know, like, I was 19 when I was in the accident, but it really had such a huge impact on my life for such a long period of time afterwards. It was there, I really struggled for about 4 years after it. And and even my friends have said this to me, when you were over the physical injury, they said, we thought you were fine. Do you know what I mean? You'd never really think about the mental struggle. And I think that a lot of people do suffer in silence in that. So I really wanted to feed that into Compassionate Coach, to talk about my learnings, to promote open discussion on it, and to remove the sense of isolation, because everybody goes through various things throughout their lifetime, and a lot of people will experience, Ireland has one of the highest rates of mental ill health within Europe. We're the 4th highest. So it's so just to bring my skills and expertise and to promote the open discussion on it. And then look, like I said, the sense of fulfillment that I've gotten from using what I've been through to feed into something, like, it's been really healing for me. So that's where the passion
and
comes
it's a
from as well.
very it's a really good example of what you were trying to do in general, like taking what is an inherent negative and twisting it on its head to make it
into something positive,
make it a positive.
Absolutely. It's been a journey. That's why I say resilience. But no, thank God, look, geez, like, it's, I wouldn't change it. Like, it was really difficult, but it's just been a huge learning curve as well.
When we're finishing up an interview, we always do a quick fire round of this or that questions. Would you be up for doing that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Some of these are reading related now, so I hope that they'll be ours.
Okay.
First one: a physical book or an ebook?
A physical book.
Hardback or paperback?
Hardback.
Ooh. Reading during the day in the sun or cozy reading at night?
Cozy reading at night.
Vibrant and eye-catching designs on book covers or more minimalist and subtle aesthetics?
Minimalist, definitely.
Reading books from a specific genre or exploring various genres?
Exploring various genres, I think. Yeah.
Standalone books or diving into epic series?
Epic series all the way, yeah.
Lend books to friends, yes or no?
Yeah.
Reading books set in real world locations that you can relate to or escaping to fantastical or fictional worlds?
Fictional.
Discuss books with others or keep your reading experiences private and personal?
Discuss with others.
And then the last one is Cork or Kerry?
Oh God, that's a really hard one for me. I live in Killarney and I'm living in Killarney for the last 15 or 16 years, but I'm from Cork. I'd say I'd have to say Kerry at this point, but my dad's going to put me for that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's controversial.
Oh yeah, I love Killarney. I'd have to say Kerry at this point, but Dad will be crying. Yeah, he'll disown me when he hears that. Yeah. As will John, my uncle. Yeah, Rebecca's dad.
Yeah. We've accepted that Jack is Kerry, Chloe's brother. So
yeah, he was always kind of regarded as Kerry, wasn't he? Because he was smaller when we moved back here. But anyway, yeah, I'm a convert now.
Chloe, disappointed.
Gone to the dark side.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Is there anything else you'd like to include, Chloe, that maybe we didn't get to specifically, or?
I don't think so, Bex. I think that was kind of it, to be honest. I think that I've kind of covered everything.
Thank you so much, Chloe.
No problem, Bex. No bother, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. Honestly, I really...
it was lovely to chat to you and get to know you.
I love doing the podcast. Love having the chat. Thanks so much.
May you have a lot of continued success, and we can't wait to see what more becomes of Compassionate Coach.
Thanks so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Super success.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Another Chapter podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share to keep the book conversation going. Thank you to Helen Becerra for the graphics, Mark Neville for the mixing, and to each of our contributors. Music is Make It Work by All Good Folks. Don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Another Chapter podcast. We'll see you there.